Okay, so how do we create this animation in Adobe Fresco? I'm going to show you guys how to do it easily using Adobe Fresco's animation tools. So let's start off with the word keep. If I click on play all here, we can see this animation of the shiny streak going across keep. So let me show you how to apply this animation to your art or lettering. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that layer. And let's create a new layer above the word keep. And now on this new layer, select a vector brush, and I'm selecting the regular round brush. And let's make the size about 60 pixels. And I'm going to draw a diagonal line going up this way. And then I'll grab another one, smaller one, and hold down to create a straight line. And now I want you to go to your layer properties and select blend mode and scroll down to overlay. Now we're going to click on path. We're going to use our animation tools, and let's draw a path going across. And you can see here now we've created this animation, a really easy animation to apply to your art or lettering. Now for the second animation in going, if I click on play all, we have this wavy type of animation in going. So let me show you guys how to do that in Adobe Fresco. I'm going to go ahead and delete that layer. And let's create a new layer above going so we can try that again. And again, with a regular vector brush, I'm going to select the color pink, pick something a little bit lighter. And then I want to, let me click on undo. Let's create a wave pattern here, or a wave shape. And I'm just going to make sure it's only on this word. And then we're going to select our paint bucket and fill. And now, again, let's open up our animation tools. I already have it opened up here. Let's make sure we have our blend mode selected to overlay once again, so it looks something like this. Now that I've created an overlay here, let's grab our selection tool and let's just make it pretty long here, maybe about that size. Something like this. We might need to erase some of it, so I'll grab the eraser. Anything that's appearing on this bottom portion here, we don't want it to appear. We can also make sure going is beneath keep so we're not seeing that. So what we're going to do is we're going to select these two layers, and let's make sure it's below that second keep. So now that we have this shape here, we're going to go to our animation tools and we're going to create a path and just draw a short line across, just like this. Now I want you to duplicate that path. We're going to pause, tap on that frame and duplicate frame, tap on the frame, duplicate, tap, duplicate, tap, duplicate. Do it about a couple of times. Now you can see it's going through that wavy formation. So the more frames you add, the longer the animation will be. So I'll click on pause, and that's an easy way to create that wavy animation onto your text. Now, like I said, because we have keep at the top, this overlay is appearing on top of going, so we're going to have to put keep at the bottom as well. So let's select both of these, and we'll bring them down beneath going, just like this. So now if you click on play all, I'll go back to my keep here, these diagonal lines. We didn't keep the animation, so I'll just create a path here and just make sure we have that diagonal line here. And now if I click on my animation tools and click on play all, you see our animation working here. And again, we can adjust the settings, adjust the frames per second, completely up to you how you want that to look. So now let's move on to our last portion, which is growing. So you can see our text is growing bigger to small. So small to large, large to small. So this one's going to take a little bit longer, but it's a really fun animation to add to your lettering or designs. So let's click on pause here. Let's scroll down to growing. And we have our growing here. And you can see here we have all of these frames, so many frames. So let me show you guys how to do it. We're actually going to turn off our animation tools and let's duplicate this layer. And let's hide the layer below it, our animation layer. And let's take this animation, click on copy frame, and then on the top layer here, we created a new layer. Click on the three dots and click paste layer. So now we just have our text. So we'll delete this empty layer here and we'll delete our animation layer here that we were using to grab growing. So now we have growing selected. Now let's create an animation to make those letters shrink in size and grow in size. So we're going to turn on our animation tools once again. And now I want you to duplicate this frame. And now we're going to go through each letter. We're going to select the G here, just the G. And with our transforming tools, we're going to make it smaller like this. And we'll deselect. And we can go back to our original animation here just to remember what it looks like. So I'll click on play all. And we see that we make the G a little bit smaller. So I'll go ahead and turn off that frame, go back to our other one. Let's go back to that second frame. And let's select that G and let's make it smaller, about that size. And we'll deselect. Now we need to apply this for the rest of the letters. So I'll go and I'll duplicate this frame here. And now I want to select just the R, and we're going to do the same thing. Reduce the size here, deselect, duplicate the frame again, and we're going to do this for every single letter. Deselect, duplicate again, and now we're going to select our W here, deselect, and then duplicate that frame again. And now we're going to select the I, and just decreasing the size of the I, deselect, and we'll duplicate this frame, and we will select the N, reduce the size. Oops, we'll click on undo here. We want it to be in the same position. Click on done, deselect, and then we will duplicate this last frame here and make that G small. Okay, now we'll deselect. Now if I click on play all, you see we're getting that animation. So we're going to have to reduce the frames per second for this design, depending on how you guys want that to look. And then we can change the playback to boomerang so that it's going back and forth. If I decrease the frames per second, now you can see we have that growing animation featured here in our art. So if I zoom out, we can see that our animation is appearing with all of these different cool animations. So the thing about this is when you are adding animations to your art using Fresco, the settings are going to apply to all animations on your artboard. So that's one thing that I think Fresco can improve on, is allowing us to add different settings for animations for different parts of our art. So if I increase the frames per second, you can see how it changes it. If I decrease it, let's maybe make it 12 frames per second, you can see our animations appearing here. The only way we can actually change the speed of our animation is actually adding more frames for that specific animation. If I wanted to change the speed of this animation, I would have to create more frames for growing. So I'd have to make the G a little bit smaller, then a little bit more smaller, then a little bit more smaller, and a little bit more, which would take a lot more time. But if you want something really simple and easy, this is the way to go. Just using really simple frame by frame animations in Adobe Fresco. And that's pretty much how you can create this really cool animation in Adobe Fresco. And I forgot to make sure to add it down here to this keep. We have this one turned on as well. And let's make sure that some of it's not showing. So now if I click on play all, we can see our animation, and you can see the lines on top of keep for this one are going on top of growing. So what we can do is we can turn off our animation tools. And let's go back to our layer properties and just turn it back to normal here. And then let's play that animation to see why it's appearing on top. And that's because our path seems to be going at an angle here. So you see it's going slowly down. And you can see we can erase some of this. What we'll do is we can delete this path, and we can add a new path here. Let's just make it go across here. And you see it's not covering the whole keep, so we can tap on path. We can transform the path. Now let's press play. And so now that we've done that, we should be able to see a better view of our animation. So now it looks like it's just going on top of keep, which is great. So remember, you can edit those paths if you want to. So we'll go here and go back into your properties and we'll select overlay. And now if you click on play all, our animation is ready. And last but not least, the little sparkles, which are really, really easy to animate. We'll go back and we'll find a sparkle here. So this one's really easy. I have this sparkle selected, and essentially it's just every frame is just rotating that sparkle. So what we'll do is we'll just copy this sparkle here. So select this sparkle and we'll copy selection. We'll deselect, and now let's hide that layer, and on a new layer, let's tap on the three dots and paste selection. So now we have this sparkle here. So what we'll do is make sure your animation assist is turned on. And now we'll create a new frame, so duplicate that frame, and then just that frame, we're going to rotate it. Then we'll duplicate it again, and then transform and rotate. Duplicate it again, transform and rotate. And then we'll duplicate it again, transform just that frame and rotate, and click on done. So now it should be rotating like that. And we can adjust the settings to say we want it to loop through. Now if I zoom out here, we can see that cool animation. That's how we can add some really fun animations using Adobe Fresco. I definitely recommend checking it out. I feel like the animation tools in Fresco are really fun and easy to use. And yeah, if you guys like this tutorial, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel.